I stumbled across a line on LinkedIn the other day of all places, and it was actually by a guy named Jay Yang, and he's about my age, honestly. And he actually wrote a book, and it's called You Can Just Do Things. And I just sat there and just looked at the post and was like, that's so cool. That's such a good reminder. And it like lived in my mind for like the next week. And so it sparked an idea to write an article, which I write on Substack every week, a couple times even. And anyway, so let's get into it. Like, why do I believe you can just do things? So when you're in the early stages of figuring out like what you want to do next, you know, things rarely make sense. Like there's no clear path, no obvious next step. You know, but if you simply start testing, start trying new things, you know, pulling inspiration from other people, you know, eventually you'll stumble upon exactly what you need to do. You know, too often we get stuck waiting, you know, convinced that the perfect next step will suddenly appear. But more often than not, that's just not how it works. You know, the truth is the next step is going to be found while you're moving, you know, while you're taking steps. You know, the path appears. And so Mark Twain put it very well. He said the secret of getting ahead is just getting started. Think of it like walking on a path through the forest. You know, you can see just a few steps ahead, but never the entire route. You know, by walking forward, taking small steps, the rest of the path becomes clear. Imagine a dense forest. You're walking and you only see a few steps ahead of you because, you know, the path weaves and you've got, you know, trees, leaves in front of you, you got tall grass, all of that. And so I love this quote by Rumi, and he said it perfectly. He said, as you start to walk on the way appears. When I first left college, I had no clue what I wanted next, right? You know, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't really have any skills to bring to the market. But things didn't really start becoming clear until I was okay with trying new things. More importantly, though, failing at new things. So Vincent van Gogh, he said, what would life be if we had no courage to attempt anything? You know, I vividly remember like waking up ridiculously early on Saturday mornings just so I could work on a new project that I was just trying, testing, seeing if this was a valid business that I could do. You know, I was just trying to make something that was bigger than myself, that was outside of a 9-to-5, that was something that was me, something that represented me, that could drive my life forward, whether that was monetarily or just giving me some, you know, a little bit of freedom. And while those early projects didn't find some massive success, I mean, I made some money on them, a lot of them I just lost money, but they taught me a lot of lessons, and those lessons showed me what to pursue next, you know, what to leave behind, and they gave me the clarity to take my next step. Steve Jobs said this. He said, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in the future. So I make this video, I wrote this post as a reminder, and hopefully to give you a bit of permission to try something new. You know, if you don't know what you enjoy, you'll never find out, you know, you'll never find out by staying put. If you're unsure whether something will work, there's only one real way to find out. So I encourage you, you know, give yourself permission to try. Give yourself permission to fail. And as you go, the path will become clearer, things will get easier, and the next step will finally make sense.